specifically for this for Infinity for the platform. And I'm gonna explain a little bit more how what can you look at it here. But as for the basics, you can go here in the first section, and I'm gonna link you all the space at the end. So in the first section, as for the basics, in 1Password you can find the login to it's a general login for the company to get into the platform. It's on the marketing at the Media Optimizers email. That's in 1Password if you need to look at it. And once we are inside the platform, and this is kind of how it looks like I'm already in the marketing account, in the marketing user. This is the overall company user. So if you want to look at the reporting for your specific client, so there you're gonna look at the left panel here. There's only 4 sections at the moment, but specifically the curated section is the one where you can go and search for your specific client. And this is a section prepared by us in the data team. It's super, as you can see, the layout is super basic, super friendly. And here in recommended, we create folders for the clients that we go migrating into the platform. So you're gonna show all, and you can see so far we have TLC, Equity Trust, Link Jewelry, Elevate, and both will search in the live and online component. So each folder, as you can see, contains different elements that are called storyboards inside the platform. And you can think of a storyboard as a page in Looker Studio. In Looker Studio, you have one single link with what we call a dashboard, and the dashboard can have several pages. So here we have each of those pages that are in Looker Studio separated in different storyboards, as you can see here in TLC, for example. And if you click add a storyboard, you're gonna see all the charts. This is the executive summary, for example, for TLC. You're gonna see all the charts that are normally in Looker Studio. And we take care of creating, obviously, all the layout, the structure, what's in a storyboard, what's not, the filters, and so on. Now, inside the storyboard, you can click in the title of each individual chart. Let's see the event summary report, and it's going to take you to a different view where you're going to look at only this specific chart. And the cool thing here is that we now have this section on the right, which is basically the chatbot and the main attractive feature of the platform. And now we're going to go into more detail about what can we do with the chatbot. But again, if you go and search in a storyboard for a specific chart, you can go into that chart, and then you can start interactive here through the chatbot. And you can also use the filters, as we all know, similar to Looker Studio. There's also this feed section at the top where it's not going to be that useful for daily use, but it's going to basically have all the charts that we are creating that we in the data team we share with the marketing user. It's going to be ordered chronologically, and you can filter by week, month, and so on. It's basically like a social media feed, so to speak. And then you have this subscription section. This involves a couple of features related to notifications and mails, periodical scheduled mails that you can schedule for different storyboards or for different charts. This is like the summary of all the events that you schedule on your site as a user. I'm gonna talk a bit more about that. There's also this global search feature that it's not fully completed on the backend. It has some more work to do, but in the future it's gonna help us as users and the clients, obviously, to search for maybe different charts or different like more open natural language questions. For example, it's called global search, so it's gonna involve all the data. In this case, for our user, it's gonna involve all the data for all clients, but for each client, it's gonna involve a global search for the data for that client, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's some of the basics on how to search for charts here, for storyboards, charts, and so on. And then, okay, now before jumping, yes, let's jump ahead directly to the chatbot, the main feature that we're gonna work with. Ideally, we're gonna work with this new tool. First of all, I wanted to bring up some important considerations on overall when working using chatbots in the best way. Some of you are super used to working with chatbots like ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, and maybe this is redundant information, but I think it's important for all of us to know if we're gonna use a platform like this and any other platform to know what can we expect, and also some important tips to gain the best usage on these type of tools. Now, in this particular sense of the Infinity chatbot, as I show here, you can enter a particular chart. You're going to have the chatbot here. In this particular chatbot, not ChatGPT or other, but here in Infinity, we have to be aware of what can the chatbot do and what cannot do. It's important to have these expectations in check. So, what can do? What can the chatbot do? After trying from our side and speaking with the Infinity team, these are the main things that the chatbot can do with the data that we have and with the data we create the charts with. Data summaries and insights, for example. This is like the most maybe simple of the features. It's gonna help you summarize information in the charts. And I'm putting here some prompt examples, like for example, summarize the performance of the last markets by these metrics, and you can apply that, for example, in this type of chart in the event summary report for TLC. And a cool thing is that it has already included a button here that says "Get Insight about the chart," and it's going to make you basically a summary, an overall summary of the data present in the chart. And the one important note is that the speed of the reply, it may vary. It may be variable depending on the size of the data set behind each chart. Some of the charts are very small. Some like these are super huge, and that affects the performance of the chatbot. But we can talk about that later. So as you can see here, just clicking here this button is going to give you a summary of the information of the data in the chart. Now it's talking about cost efficiency, ROM, buyer conversion rates, but this is super general, of course, because we didn't actually give them a natural an input from our side. Then, okay, so it can also give you descriptions or explanations of data, basically what's going on here with the data I'm looking at. For example, explain or describe the change in buy rate through the months of 2024. So that's not something we can totally apply to this chart. For example, we have buy rates, and we can specify in our prompts, explain what's going on with buy rates during 2024. That's something maybe that we can look at if we filter and we start seeing month by month, market by market. But the cool thing is that the chatbot, the AI model, is capable of doing it for us, just giving a prompt as the one we have here. It can also create a list of top, bottom, best, worst performers, depending on a KPI, for example, best and worst performing markets in terms of FEROM. It can give you that. And also, it's good at doing mathematical calculations with the data that is in the chart. For example, what was the change in percentage in total ad spend between the Ohio markets? That's something, an example of a question. that you can do. I didn't add it here in the presentation, but it's good to keep in mind also that what can't the chatbot do? So far, if we talk about predictions, that's forecasting, which is something super interesting and attractive from a business perspective. The chatbot currently can do some sort of basic forecasting, but I'm bringing this because it might be something that you are interested in when using some of the charts, depending on your clients. But keep in mind that expect the forecast to be simple in terms of accuracy, or in terms of the statistical models or science behind that. Maybe some of you know, but forecasting involves some complex statistical models, and depending on the complexity of model, you can get better forecasts or maybe simpler, not that accurate forecasts. So far, the chatbot can do some sorts of forecasting. We're going to look at some examples, but keep in mind that it's not its strength. It's a feature that it has, but it's at this moment it's still a basic one. Now, before jumping into some of the examples I prepared here for the chatbot, it's important to know also some things that apply overall, not only for Infinity, but maybe for ChatGPT or other chatbots. Some tips or some things that may help us getting used on how this works and what can we expect. For example, from our side, it's good that we always try to ask specific questions, being clear and precise, and not as the example says, instead of going into the chart here and typing how did we do overall, or I don't know, a super vague question. It's important and it's better for our results if we input time frames, specific maybe markets, specific KPIs. That's better in terms of the question we're going to get. Also, it's good that we use filters and context directly in the data. For example, if we go to this chart, maybe we are interested, we already know we are interested in analyzing markets that are completed in the workshop collection. So before asking, let's filter directly what we need. And that's a good practice because it's going to help the system and all the AI statistical computing magic behind it. It's going to help give us a better answer than just being vague. It's also good to refer to visuals, mentioning specifically in the chart, for example, in this chart, of course, per registrations and registrations by market, by month, whatever it is that it's going on in the chart. If we add that and that works as context, it's going to help the system to understand where it's at and give us a better answer. The rule is simple. The more context, the better. The more and clearer context. It's also good to start simple. Instead of maybe going, if you're starting your conversation with the chatbot, instead of going like, okay, give me a prediction of 2026, considering the markets in Ohio and the days on Friday. That's super complex at itself to start with a conversation, even with a human. So every time we start a session with a chatbot, it's gonna try to read and understand the data present. It's not like it's already aware of all the data, but it takes a bit of time when we start a session with it, and it learns also, as in ChatGPT. Some of you are aware of it. The more you interact with the chart, the more it learns. So it's good to start simple at the beginning, so you can allow the system to learn, to be aware, to be used to the data that we want to get insights from. We should also be patient with errors because, again, these systems are not perfect. They may throw you some errors in calculations here and there. And that's why we have to obviously be patient with it. Maybe the trick for it, because if I can say a trick, is rephrasing our question or prompt, adjusting filters, try to help the system a little bit to go and query, go and search what we are asking for. But errors may happen and will happen for sure. That's why it's good. It's always good, and it's a good practice to double check the answers that we are receiving from the chatbot. We have to be aware. We have to remember that this isn't a human, an expert on the data. It's a computational system, as it is, it's prone to error. So we should always try to validate what go and check with the data, with the chart itself, or if it's a more complex query that we're doing, we can go and validate with the data team and double check what's going on, and also that we allow us to build trust on the system. A good practice is also that if you go and start using these charts with some prompts, it's good to keep track, keep note on what works, what doesn't, to create like a sort of learning on our own on how to best use this tool. And of course, it would be awesome if all of us end up after some time being more pros in this type of tool. Overall, I think it's a super valuable skill to have anywhere right now in this era. And finally, as I mentioned before, it's good to we should keep all a feedback loop with DevOps on the data team, and whenever you find inaccurate responses or bugs or anything, but specifically for the chatbot, if you find something that's not working or something inaccurate, totally get back to us with the feedback, because then we will go to the platform, to the team of Infinity, and we can all help the platform improves and also improve it for us and for our clients. So that's some important considerations to have in mind when using this chatbot. And finally, I'm gonna head up, and I prepare here a couple of conversations. I prefer doing it before the meeting and maybe not trying directly, because just maybe keep a streamline on the meeting. And just give me a sec, because I was running out of battery. Okay, there it is. So we have, for example, a TLC chart that is showing cost per registrations and registrations by month, and it's filtered from 2023 up until today. And I started this conversation with maybe a general question. I said, how would you describe the change in cost per registration from January 2023 to now? I specified the date range. I already knew that it was from January 2023, but it's good, as I mentioned, to add, even if it's redundant, to add this as a piece of context in our question. It will normally give you this message at the moment. Please give me a moment while I fit the information requested. It will normally happen. And then it said the cost per registration increased from 27.94 in January 23 to 35.37, currently representing a change of blah, 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 blah. Okay, so this is a descriptive type of question, very simple. Also, something descriptive that I could easily look at it, but I decided to ask it because maybe in some bigger charts, it's harder to find the highest or the lowest. I asked which were the worst month in terms of cost per registration, and it answered that it was July 2024, that it was around here. And it's the yellow line, you can see, it has the highest cost per reg in this date range. So that's good. And then I went to something more complex, a forecast. I asked, how will you forecast the change in the cost per reg for the next 6 months? It gave me some numbers here from February, March, up until July. And it just gave the numbers. But I can totally reply and interact. How I was curious how you calculated these results. This is so good if you want to maybe validate the numbers you are getting. In this case, it provided an answer referring to the model, type of model that it used to forecast these numbers. And this might be complex for the most of us, obviously, because it involves statistics. But I also, it's all about it to ask, okay, is there an error measure for your calculation? It gave me an error measure. Again, this is statistics as well, but I wanted to show you that it's valid to ask for these types of things. I even, considering that maybe I'm not really sure about what this MAPE is, I asked, can you explain a bit more on this error measure? And it gave me some brief info on it, how it's calculated. It says that a lower MAPE indicates a more accurate model. And finally, I asked, considering this, would you say that your prediction of cost per edge is good? And it said that it's good considering the error measure that it gave me previously. So the idea here is that you can dig in deeper on how it's calculating things, why it's doing it that way. You can even ask, okay, can you try a different approach? And that takes us to a second example. And this is a way simpler chart with way less amount of data. And you will notice that the performance in times maybe will improve with simpler and smaller charts like this one. I asked at the beginning of this, I wanted to know directly a prediction for the attendance on the day 3 of events for this first virtual event for WellSearch. So I asked this based on the D1 and D2 reg attendees. What would you predict the D3 numbers will be for this event? Again, a lot of context, but not really. The good thing, the cool thing here is that you don't need to type the exact name of the column. The model and the system is created in a way that there's a lot of metadata behind of it, and it knows if we say, okay, D1 attendees, it's going to know in most cases that it refers to this metric in this chart, because we add on our side, and also the team preparing the model, they have added a lot of information and context. Again, this metadata are about the data that we provide from our databases and so on. And normally the columns in the databases or even in the charts might look super like robotic and not human, but the system is good at understanding these names and context in a human-like manner. So that's why I can ask D1 and D2 reg attendees. I added reg attendees because maybe there's another column that says D1 auto attendees, which is a different type of attendees. And that's a piece of context necessary because I'm looking specifically for that. And it gave me a prediction here again on the D3 reg attendees of 9 attendees. Straightforward. I am curious on how it calculated this number. And it gave me a more detailed answer on how it calculated the number. And it said that it used a simple linear regression model, which is cool. It's a very common and very used statistical model for forecasting. It explains a little bit more on how it applied this model in this case. Again, I'm curious on if each prediction is good or not. That's why I asked, can you provide an error measure for the calculation? It gave me 2 error measures, which is mean absolute error, mean squared error. And for those who are familiar with statistics and linear regression, those are really common error measures for these types of model. And it says that these values are extremely close to 0, the measures it calculated, indicating that the model perfectly fits the 2 data points. Again, this type of things, it's good if you're not into statistics or something like that. It's good to maybe validate with the data team or by yourself through other sources. And we go here again on the double checking and validating answers, even if the model looks super confident in it. And just for the sake of trying, I asked him to try a different approach to predict the reg attendees for the day 3, what I was asking at the beginning. It says that using a different approach, calculating the average of D1 and D2, the predicted number of attendees for D3 is 25.5. It used a way more simpler approach to get to a forecast. And it's good because it's like in this particular scenario of asking for a prediction, it shows it has at least a different set of strategies that it can work on, which is really good. And I think this can improve in the future, this type of features. And something following some advice Brian, Ross, and other team members have mentioned previously on chatbots, we can try and level up the answer that it has already given us to try to get to a better, more clearer, more precise answer with this type of prompt. I said, can you go back at your previous answer? If it's out here, it's already aware of the answer that it gave at the beginning, which was this prediction using the first model. So I'm referring to that and asking, can you provide a level 2 type of answer? A level 2, like something with a higher level of it. And it's gonna go back to the prediction and try to refine a little bit the analysis or information that's good to know when, in this case, forecasting a prediction like this. It talks about trend analysis. It talks about external factors that might influence attendance for an event like this. It talks about using weighted average as another strategy to get to a maybe more accurate, realistic forecasting. But it also says that even the limited data, because this is really limited, there's only 2 events and there's only 2 days with attendance. It's super limited for a forecasting model. Given that these considerations are only speculative, but they provide a more nuanced approach to predicting the attendance for day 3. It says, without additional data or context, the prediction remains just an estimate based on available parts. So it's good to know that it's aware that the data is limited, and it's aware of, in the sense that it knows how these types of predictions, statistical models work. So in that sense, it's positive. It has this type of behavior. Finally, there's another example I made with a different type of chart. Also, something like a time series chart of cost per lead and cost per appointment. And I went straight ahead and was simple. Best dates in cost per lead, without more, not more fancy words. It gave me the best cost per lead, that it was in the week of September 30. Here it is, the lowest cost per lead. And note, this is not trivial, but note here that it might sound trivial, but it's not. I said best dates in cost per lead. I didn't say high cost per lead or lower cost per lead. I just said best. And you might think, oh, but it's a computer. How it's going to know what is good and what is not good for this metric or that metric? The good thing is that since, as I mentioned, since we have worked with the team of the platform on providing context and necessary information on our particular data of our clients, it knows that cost per lead is a metric that it's good the lower it is. So it might be trivial, but it's really not, and it's a good thing. It says that the best date in terms of cost per lead is, again, this here, which has the lowest in this date range. So that's something really positive. You can know that if you query, for example, worst cost per reg or something like that. Again, something more descriptive in the sense of the type of questions. I asked how that to describe the change in cost per lead and cost per appointment during this period. and it's basically a summary. It's something that we can go and look by ourselves, but it's good that it does the work analyzing this period, and it says for example, that the maximum increase in cost per lead was 36.71, the maximum increase. And I was curious about it. Okay, when this maximum increase happened, because that's like something that created an alarm in our head. I said, when this maximum increase of 36.71 occurred. And it says that this maximum increase occurred in the week of October 14, which is right here. October 14 had a cost per lead of 53.42, and it was preceded by this cost per lead. So I did the math, and the change from this week to the other match this calculation. So again, referring here to what the chatbot can do, it's good making these types of mathematical calculations. Something to keep in mind, though, is that this is a fairly straightforward and simple chart, in the sense that it has only two variables going on here. But then we might have a chart like this. We have a lot of metrics for a lot of markets and a super big time range. And that's something we have to keep in mind, maybe if we want to make these types of mathematical calculations questions. Because if maybe I want to ask something of the sort of a rate between cost per reach and FE revenue, or maybe a relationship between the two, that's totally valid. But we have to keep in mind that it might not get super accurate results sometimes, considering this chart in particular has a lot of data and has a lot of variables and columns, and that affects performance. And the idea, of course, is that with time we work with the team of the platform to try to improve the performance, even if the data is too big and too complex. This is a always developing tool platform, and it's going to get better with time, especially with our data. And going back here again to what I said on context and filters, if you want to be super specific on a question on any of these several variables, it's good to have all of that previously filtered with context added, depending on what we want to get. If we want only Ohio, it would be good to go and search here for Ohio only, and filter the data to get accurate results. So super quickly, that's some of the examples here. But if you go to the ClickUp space that we prepared for it, you're going to find here a FAQ, something that some of the things that we mentioned already on how to interact with charts, how to look at the charts, on what the chatbot can do. That's already included here. Sorry that it's all in red. I believe because my my computer still thinks that it's in Spanish. ClickUp doesn't like it's all in English, so that's everything highlighted. But there's also a couple of features that I mentioned. I'm gonna go quickly over that. But again, in these AI chatbot examples, there's a list of different prompts with links to the charts of the types of prompts that you can give. There's here I linked a very, very cool walkthrough made by Brian on Loom on what types of interaction can you have, specifically what's with this chart, and it has a good insight on how this works. And thank you, Brian, for doing it. I added that here. If you want to go and look at it, it will give you useful insights. And lastly, here are some of the tips I added in the presentation on how to best use the platform. Finally, and I'm going to be quick because I've been talking for 40 minutes right now. A couple of more things you can do in the platform are related to notifications, subscriptions, and alerts. mainly what you can do right now, for example, you go to this chart, in the chatbot, it's going to give you the option to schedule periodic emails. If you click here, you can ask it to create daily mails, monthly mails, since this date, on a specific time zone. And if you are in this marketing account, it's gonna automatically send those email newsletter maybe or notifications. It's gonna send it to the marketing email. And if you go to the subscription section here, you can look for a summary of what are the in this case scheduled emails that you have done so far. For example, the event summary report, I ask a weekly email, and it says that the next delivery is going to be in 2 days at 20 o'clock. I think I input Mountain Time. I'm not sure, but it's going to give you that information, a bit more information on it. And if you are wondering, maybe what about the event notifications? That's something that's still not fully developed from their side. We're going to give some updates on it. I added that here in the ClickUp space on the FAQs. It's at the bottom. This is a small loom on how to schedule emails from storyboards or from charts, and the real-time alerts. It's not available at the moment, but I will add it once that is available. Another cool thing that you can do here within the charts is just leaving comments. For example, I'm gonna bug Brian and say, "Hey, what's this?" For example, and I'm gonna post a comment. It's gonna be here in the chart, and Brian is gonna receive that in the notifications bell here. And right now you can see that for the marketing account, mostly the notifications are that we share some charts with you, newly created. Lorenzo created a bunch of charts lately and share with the marketing user. So you can see that in here. And these types of notifications are gonna appear here, mostly for us, probably. Lorenzo, Agustina, Brian, myself. But that's something you can do. You can also ping a chart, and it's gonna appear in the curated section, which is like a dashboard. The curated section is basically like a dashboard where you can ping here. As I said, you can unpin. You can create a folder here where you can put all maybe the reports that you are interested. Let's say, let's go to this storyboard, and you can subscribe to the storyboard, or you can go to this chart, for example, and you're gonna report to admin, save to folder. Yes, you can save it to a folder, to the dashboard, or directly to the folder that we created within the dashboard. That is here. Then you have that here. Maybe you want to create different folders for different things. That's something nice you can do. If I'm correct, I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. So we can jump now to some questions and answers. I see Brian. Yeah.
Yeah. So a couple of things real quick. On the comment section, so where you just put at Brian, right? Hey, what's this? I do want to make sure that everyone is aware that as soon as we make a comment on that chart, that comment is available for everyone that has been shared to that chart. So that it does include clients. So let's just make sure that we understand that, so that we're not making internal comments that we may not want the client to see. So just kind of keep that in mind. A couple of questions though, Carlos. Joe asked about when you were on the chart, let's just say a cost per registration chart, right?
Yeah.
It only shows the cost per registration for a time series, but can you ask about other data that's not in this chart, like media channels? Is that in the background? Will it pull in that external data? External meaning not in this chart, but external to this chart. Will it pull it in?
That's a very good question. And actually, a while ago, we had with the team, Infinity team, a discussion on it. They mentioned they were working on making it available just what you said, that I'm on this chart, but maybe I want within this chart refer to data from other types of chart or from the whole database of TLC, for example, marketing data that it's not visible right now. They mentioned that we're working on it, and I have to check if that is fully implemented and available for us. I will get to you with that precise answer because I don't know at the moment, but I think that's something we are working on.
And if not, you just go to the chart about channel or what? Okay. Cool.
Exactly.
Thanks.
I think Allison, has her hand.
Yeah, so I think this may have answered my question, but let's say I'm running a split test and I want to know the results of that split test. Do I still need to have you guys create the report or the chart before I can get that data, or can I just find it?
Oh yeah, well, the data, I think yes, that's tied to the previous answer.
Mhm.
When the previous answer is positive, meaning that you can maybe refer, you can maybe go to the global search and ask specifically for the split test with the appropriate context and so on.
Mhm.
It will probably be available to you to get information on that data, even if it's not a chart. But I don't want to confirm that yet because, as I said, that's something I need to confirm with the team. But at least the data for that split test has to be inside the platform. That's something you want always to maybe check with us, with the team beforehand, if the data for a specific, in this case, a split test, or it may be another type of data, you want to check if that's included already in the platform. If it's not, it's obviously it's not gonna refer to anything.
Okay, so is there a plan to create some kind of process or I'm going to suck up a little bit, a playbook, if you will, for setting up tests so that it is always like basically once we're able to search for information that's not on a chart, once that answer is yes, is there some kind of plan for a process to, okay, you know what, we're going to set tests up this way to report that way so that it is automatically included and we don't have to spend all of our time creating all these reports when the strategist can just go ask the bot?
Yeah, so I'll answer, Carlos. I
Yeah.
think one of the biggest things is that you guys don't see that there's an actual build feature in here. We removed it on purpose because you do have to make sure the data is structured in a way
Right.
to be able to do that, right? So if we just added that to everybody would be frustrated because it's like, hey, I'm trying to build this chart or build this
Right.
whatever, and it's not allowing me to build this table to do the A/B test comparison.
Yeah.
So on our end, like we've chosen during this launch phase to get everyone down on the basics on the charts, notifications, and chatbot.
Okay.
Then we also just need to make sure that we structure the data because you kind of answered your question as your own question as far as like once we get everything ready, then yes, we can. But what we need to do from a company-wide is make sure that everyone is structuring their data in the exact same way.
And that, yeah, I was wondering if there were plans to build that into a playbook or process so that it's,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm glad you understand Allison speak, Brian. I really do. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you for the answer question. Oh, I see, Stephen. Yeah.
So I appreciate you getting the logins out to the client. When we have a scenario where we have a lot of stakeholders that from on the client side that is going to view the data, I just want to make sure I understand. So we're going to have one login for the client and they're all going to share that individual login. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'll answer that one as well, just
Yeah.
from an admin side, right? So again, we're at phase one. Our phase one is to limit the access so that we can limit feedback coming in. and how everyone's using it, right? And also making sure that it's getting used. So our thought is that we provide one login per client, kind of as a free to use test. And then as they start using it and say WellSurge, right? There's a lot of chefs in the kitchen there. So Jeremy might be like, hey, I want my own notifications. I want this coming directly to my email, right? I just want to see a report directly to my email. Great, we can do that, but there is a cost to this. So that's where we just need to discuss, like, okay, we'll provide a license, but for additional licenses, we do want to, make sure that it's being covered, because there's time into the platform, all of this stuff, right? So we can't give free licenses for everyone on their team.
Sure. So I guess my next question would be like, if someone asks like, hey, can I get a license? Can I just tell them, yeah, that'll be XYZ cost. Like, what would that cost be? And that way we can bill it accordingly. $1 million per year. That's
1 million per year. Yeah.
Sounds like ripping off the top, Joe.
10% will go into my account. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's all I need. So that I just want to make sure everyone is aware. Same thing on the company-wide access. So, because we do have to pay per license, and the cost isn't that much. But what we want to make sure is that, those that have a license are using it. And I know everyone on this call, would want to use it, but, let's be realistic. Sometimes with tech, not everybody uses it. So we want to see who are the users, what do you need it for, and then provide access from there. But we just want to limit it for now during this launch phase, and then we will expand the user base from there. Go ahead, Steven.
So it's not going to get like if Heidi, for example, shares her logins on WellSurge, right, and she divvies that out to stakeholders, there's not going to be like a number of IPs that can access it. It's not going to get shut down. That can just be a shared login for now, even though we're trying to limit. But I can guarantee you, like, you got too many people that want the data, and it's going to get shared.
Yeah, Carlos, that may be a good question to bring up to their team, as far as like how many simultaneous logins. Is it unlimited, or is there an actual point where it will start causing issues for everybody logged in?
Yeah, makes sense. I write that down to ask them.
And I can take snapshots. Like right now we have limited reports. I can just take screenshots and just kind of email that out with reporting as like a fix. But
or maybe forwarding the emails you get to the marketing account. So at this moment, you can schedule emails for the chart you're interested of the storyboards, and you can maybe forward that. I think you can actually can automate the forwarding of specific emails to specific people.
So you're saying if we have a shared login right now, we could either set up a universal account on there and where the reports get emailed daily, where they all can just share that. Is that what you just said?
Yeah. If you go to the marketing email or in Google Groups, I checked today. There are already a couple of emails coming in from Infinity. I believe those were tests made by Brian, and you can schedule whatever you're interested in. And in Gmail, I think you can automate that these emails are go forward to the people you're interested in.
Okay, we can dive deep in that on our next call. I appreciate it.
Of course. And to answer to Dustin, Learnly is on the roadmap to migrate to Infinity, and WellFit is it's being built right now by Lorenzo. It's in the works. So yeah, that's for Russ.
More for Russ, yeah. I was gonna say. Hey, Brian or Carlos, really quick question on the multiple logins for one user. Does Infinity know we're doing that? Okay. I was going to say, if we bring it up, are we causing some issues? But okay, if they already know.
They know the ultimate goal as well, is that, we've told them from the very beginning of using the platform is that we want to show the value internally and externally to our clients. So, and we can't do that if we have to pay for 100 licenses up front. So they're more than willing for us to do that.
Sorry, Allison, for the lack of cats. At least I added like a mini robot, but yeah, cats didn't match the palette, the blue palette.
It was Russ that was asking for them, so not.
Oh, okay. I let him down. Sorry. Okay. I don't know if anyone has another question. Again, before I forget, let me link to all of you here, but I'll do it anyway through Slack. But here's the space in ClickUp with some nice information to start with, and always feel free to reach out to us. And actually, I was thinking earlier today, I don't know if this is a good idea, Brian, or maybe it's just more volume in communications, but maybe streamlining the communications, particularly for Infinity, maybe just Slack channel, to if we want to get feedback from everyone. I don't know if it's a good idea.
Yeah,
So-
I think I don't mind. I think it's a good idea to have like a company-wide data reporting Slack channel, so that way everyone can post on that one Slack, and it doesn't, cause confusion on the general MO channel. So, yeah, we'll create one.
Sure, especially in this phase where we are super interested from our side to get feedback and what's good, what's not good, what's working, what's not working. This is like the most critical phase in that sense. And any sort of feedback will help for sure. Okay. I don't want to be the one who closes or anything, but I leave out all that to you. Thank you, Alison. Thank you, guys, and for your questions and the attention. And if you were probably bored, I'm sorry. I'm used to it. It's me talking about tech stuff. I need to watch some TED Talks to improve at it. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome job, Carlos. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Carlos. See ya.
Gracias, Carlos. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. See you guys.